Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Local Soccer Show. Today, we're going to take a different route to our normal programming, where in the past we've always talked a lot about training methods, kind of the licensing program, coaching tips, things, ideas for parents. Today, it's going to be a show focused on technology and how a new technology with AI can help the children and the players develop, the coaches, and even the clubs. Before we get started with our special guest, I'd like to thank Evangelista Sports for all their support. They have all the gear you need for the Euros, for Copa America, whether you want the Canada jersey, the Italy jersey, the France jersey, Netherlands, you name it, they have it. Their showcase stuff is at Saint Laurent in Little Italy, where you can get all your gear, not only for the Euros, but even for your needs for playing soccer outdoors this summer, shoes, socks, shorts, balls, whatever you need, evangelistasports.com. Check it out or visit them in Little Italy. So today it's an honor to have Tarik Agday from Sports AI on the show. He'll talk about this new thing that he started and how this AI technology can help people playing soccer. And I'm really, really curious how this all works. And I can't wait to get started. So we'll put our little intro video and then we'll welcome Tarik. Welcome, Tarik, to the Local Soccer Show. Thank you for coming on. How are you?
I'm good, Marcello. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. So, Tariq, uh, with most of our guests, what we usually do before they explain what they're working on at the present, we like to do a trip down memory lane and get them to know you and then basically go back to when you're a little kid and share your story, how you fell in love with a beautiful game, where you played, and what led you to your path today. So, let's first talk about your playing career. When did you start playing and where did you start playing?
So it's really way back in early 2000s. And I don't know if many people know about that league. It was called La Ligue Latine. So I was maybe 4 or 5 years old. I started playing with
Mhm.
mostly the Latino community in Montreal.
Okay.
It was mainly in Rosemont La Petite Patrie. So started there and
Mhm.
didn't start playing like with the clubs that we know today before 10, 11 years old. So yeah, I was playing mainly for fun with, when you have two older brothers at home that play, you have to play at some point. So
Right.
it's, I was just following them every weekend. So started like that. And yeah, it was just for fun to start, in the family, we were big fans of soccer. So mainly for fun to start.
Yeah. And then after you played till what age?
Um, well, I stopped playing maybe seriously maybe 2 or 3 years ago
Okay.
when I started Sports AI. But yeah, I try to still play here and there for to maintain a certain shape. But seriously, let's say I stopped 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay. And what's the highest level you ever reached as a player?
So in Canada, it was with the youth national team. Started when I was U15, and then
Mhm.
I used to play in the CSL, so with the reserve team of CF Montreal. It was
Oh,
back
nice.
in 2011, 2012. And then I went to play a bit in Morocco. So again, reserve of a pro team, Raja of Casablanca. Um, one honestly, maybe the best level that I reached in terms of talent and in terms of uh, the technical part of the game was just another level. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, then coming back here, I played many years in the semi-pro league. So I would say, yeah, that was mainly the highlights of my career, my modest career.
Yeah, very nice. I never reached that level myself, so it was mostly recreational and maybe a bit of competitive. So not at that level for sure. So Tariq, when players stop playing and they still want to be involved in the sport, there's usually two pathways that they follow. One is on the coaching side, or the other one is more on a managerial side, office type work. Uh, you venture out as an entrepreneur and you started your own business. So why don't you tell us about how you came about this idea and what made you want to follow and pursue this opportunity?
So it started when I was playing with the CF Montreal reserve team. Back then, I was doing some courses in CJEP, and I realized that our assistant coach was taking some kind of stats and data from the games, but it was taken manually.
Okay.
So there was so much he could do, and every week we used to come back with have feedbacks on these data and these stats, and I was a big fan of tech back then, and I was just wondering how we could match both and have like full reports or like full um stats and data on our games. And remember, this is CSL, so it's pretty much equivalent to CPL today.
Okay.
And we didn't have much. We didn't have much. We were focused on what the coach felt during the game, who was a pretty good coach. It was Philippe Lafroy, but I mean, there's so much you can see in a game, right? The games were not always recorded, so we didn't always have video tapes of our games. So we
Mm-hmm.
were way back behind on what technology could offer, and the idea started like emerging in my head. So when I came back from Morocco for personal reasons, I went back to school, and because I was a fan of computers and technology, I started studying in computer engineering. And while I was getting closer and closer to the end of my program, I realized that I didn't want to work in like the big techs environments like my friends went, like the Amazons, Apple, Microsoft. So I started looking for jobs into sports tech, and I realized that in soccer we didn't have a lot in North America. So we have one big company that is called Sports Logic that does a great job in hockey, and it's a Montreal-based enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
And the soccer part was they stopped doing it when COVID hit. So at the end of my program, there was this thing at school where they offered like a scholarship for um, I was at Polytechnique Montréal, and they offered, I think, like 10K to work on your project if it was chosen by the school. So I just decided to apply with that idea, and I got it. So me and my co-founder Imran, we just started to work on what was a project back then, and a whole summer we worked on the project, and we were able to like sell the app, even though it was honestly like the first version was pretty low quality, and
Yeah.
even that was pleasing a lot of teams. So we decided to follow that path. Like once I finished school, I went full time on sports AI, and so it went really back in 2013 was when I was seeing like the lack of data and the lack of available stats for some pretty decent level of play. And this is how it came into my in my head. So I realized there was a huge gap between like semi-pro or like amateur level and what the pro would get. So we decided to fill in that gap.
So correct me if I'm wrong, just to take a step back, before having this type of technology, you would need someone there, assuming the game wasn't videotaped, someone's there manually keeping track of certain stats. and they would just compile them by hand, and then they'll have to input that data in a computer, and then you would also probably analyze the data manually as well. There's no automation to it, correct?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So if I understand your technology, the way it's working, after you're going to explain it in more detail, not only do you automate the gathering of the data, there's also the automation of the analysis of the data. So it's like two things that you're doing at a much faster rate and more detailed, because the computer can probably see things that the human can't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, both human and computer can see a lot of things. It's just
Yeah.
the speed in which you can
Right.
process all that data. You would need at least 6 person in a live game to get maybe somehow a pretty decent comparison with what the computer can do. So
Yeah.
yeah, the gap is huge.
Yeah. And what would you say to people that are more old school and say, well, the computer can't replace a human. You need the eye test. You need a human to see certain things, and the computer can never replace it. I know in hockey there was a lot of that too with the advanced stats. I see it as this, when you could tell me if you feel the same, that it's just a tool that can give you data and present you data to help you make informed decision. I don't think it's there to replace a human. I think it's complementary, that there's the human aspect of looking on the field to evaluate a player, but there's also this automated data that can be generated for you, and maybe using both together is what will give you like a better picture of what you need to assess.
No, of course it, and I always say that humans will never be replaced. That's that's for sure. Just
Yeah.
because um, at the end of the day, it's always a human taking the decision, whether you're
Right.
playing a player or which tactic you're using. So we need that reliability on a human. But I'll just give you a quick example. The first job I had at, let's say, an international level, it was with the Haitian national team of futsal. So I was responsible of like taking some data and cutting like videos. So it was a video analyst job,
Hmm.
and I could only take manually like 4 or 5 data points every game. So I was limited in what
Okay.
I could get from every game. And using AI, maybe I can get 50, 60 data points. I'm not saying that it's better than me. I'm just saying that it's quicker
Yeah,
and I can save
absolutely.
a
Yeah.
lot of a lot of time. Every game would take me maybe 6 to 8 hours to cut the sequences, and now with the AI, it takes maybe 1 or 2 hours, and I don't have to spend that time doing it myself. So I just put the video on the AI. I go have lunch. I go whatever. I do
Right.
something else, and then when I come back, it's ready for me to consume. So it's really it is a tool, as you mentioned, and there's no problem with you being like old school, and the data is there for you to help you in your decision making and to help you get an analysis like quicker. So if you play on the Saturday or Sunday, the Monday morning you have all the data that you need. You take whatever you feel is pertinent to your analysis, and then you're ready Monday evening or Monday afternoon to like give feedback to your players and prepare your practices for the week.
Perfect. Yeah, sounds great. So now, before you give us a little demo, I just wanted to know, like, who can benefit from the use of this technology? Is there a certain age group of players, certain level of a club? Like, who can benefit?
So for the specifications of our app, it has to be 11 aside soccer.
Okay.
So for now, we don't offer like 9 aside or 7 aside. And any level, really, whether it's like really competitive or not,
Okay.
just for the sake of having sequences cut for you. I mean, I always give this example. In school, you get reports what every 2, 3, 4 months max. But in soccer, like how many times do you get feedbacks from your coaches? So it's really hard for 1 or 2 coaches to like give feedback every practice, every game to every single player. So just because we use AI, we're able to, after every game, provide you all the sequences uh, of every single player, so you can just tell your players, okay, go see this specific sequences. So whether it's competitive or not, players are able to get feedback, and that's the most important thing in educating. Whether it's players or students, you need to have feedback
Yeah.
as many times as possible to learn and to grow in your development. So I
Yeah.
would say in Quebec, it's we start playing 11 aside at what 13,
U
14
13.
years
Yeah.
old. So from that age to adults, I would say in any level of competition, really.
Ah, that's very interesting. So, no, because I just felt maybe you had to reach a certain like level of professionalism in terms of the complexity of the data presented and the analysis of it. But if you're telling me even at U 13, it could be beneficial, then you could even start at a younger age. So that's pretty cool.
No, it is,
Mm.
and we have clients, we have clubs that are using it at U13 levels just few times during the season, like 3 or 4 times, just to actually put an image on what um, the coaches want to put in place. You have players that understand when you show them something on the board. You have players that they actually just need to hear it, and you also have players that need to see it. Like they need
Mhm.
to see the video of. Like we all learn differently, and just
Yeah,
having that tool helps us grasping all the ways to like teach the
yeah.
kids. So that's
And
why
I
it's really
think
important.
also for the future, like I use my children as examples, they're very visual because they're very, iPad video games, very like on screens a lot. So I think going forward, I think coaches will have no choice to use tools like this to present information because the children are gonna be becoming more and more visual. So I think for
Yeah, they
that, it's
will.
pretty, yeah. So anyway, why don't you get set up and show us a little demo, and then anyone watching can appreciate what it is that you present as data and how it can be beneficial for the coaches to assess their players, and even for the players to give them feedback on their performance.
Yeah, that's it. So if you can see my screen and present it
Yeah, I'm gonna
on the
add it to
studio,
the.
perfect.
All right.
So what I'm showing you here is one of our clients abroad. So just to remind people, like the process is first to get the games filmed. And as you mentioned, there's a lot of technologies right now. Like Veo is one that is the most used in Canada. So it's an automatic camera that you can put on the side of the pitch, and you just start it, and then it follows the ball, um, and it follows the action, and then your video is ready a few hours after the game. This specific team did not use Veo, but they used like regular. It was actually filmed on TV, so we can whether use Veo camera or TV videos to get the game. And then what we do is that we detect all the events by detecting the players and detecting the ball. So here we're focused on the red team, and then what I'm able to do for the video part is like, let's say, I want to see how I scored my goals, and I want to see like all the shots that we had on that specific tournament that we covered. And then you have sequences that are pre-cut for you that you can download, make playlists, share with your parents, share with the players. Players can also have access to the app. So here we see missed shot, as we see it's labeled as red, so we see that it's a missed shot. So all these sequences are pre-cut for the coaches, for the teams, and it's ready to consume. So this is really interesting to like give feedback to the players. um, let's say after a game you want to take 10-15 minutes of your next practice to actually show a few clips, pinpoint some um, good things that happened during the games, or um, you want to give feedbacks to the players on things to improve. You can use the video and show them. It's going to make make it clearer for them. And then the other part is all the data, the stats of the game. So coaches can see the ratings of the players. So we use their data to see how well they perform on the stats side. We have all the collective data of the game, whether they were playing forward, on the sides, on the black, um, reaction to ball loss on 28 different zones. So it's one key metrics of the modern football is whether we're having a positive reaction when we lose the ball. Are we repositioning ourselves? Are we counter pressing? Or we have no reaction? So we're able to detect players who walk to get back in the block, or
Okay.
that they don't counter press. We're able to detect that as well with the AI. And what's really interesting, I don't want to jump into too many details with all the data because there's a lot. We also have like the players' data. So we have collective stats and we also have the individual stats. So for every single player, you can see the stats of individual. So a lot of cool stuff that you can access to that, and then you also have the profiles of the players. So let's say just like I mentioned, at school you get a report. Well, here you can get a report of, let's say you want the whole season of a player. Here I'm guessing he didn't play much, so I'll just take another player that I know maybe played more. So in 4 games, this is all the data that he had for the tournament. So saves a lot of time, gets you relevant data, cuts the video for you. It's pretty interesting for a team to have it and to save a lot of time to get the analysis of your performance.
Wow, that's really, really cool. So, how would it work if someone would be interested in using your service? There's like you have a subscription model. How does it work? And what would they need to send you, and what would they need to do manually in order for them to get this data in this nice format that you presented it?
So the app is available for everyone. The first step is to get a subscription plan. So
Okay.
it's a monthly, it's either a monthly or yearly based. So you choose a number of games that you want to cover. So
Mm-hmm.
let's say most of our clients, they choose between 2 and 4 games a month. And then
Okay.
whether it's monthly or yearly that they are billed. And most of the teams use VO as camera. So what we do is that we plug our app to the VO account of the team. And every time a video is uploaded on the VO app, there's an automation on our side that gets triggered. We
Okay.
get, usually if it's a club of Quebec or Canada, all the game sheets can be found online. We do all the paperwork of like getting the game sheet,
Okay.
getting the video, and then we put the analysis in place. Usually it takes between 24 to 36 hours to get the result. Once it's ready, you get an email and everything is ready on the app to consume, as you just I just showed.
Wow, that's amazing. I really think this is cool, and this is a way of the future. So, congrats to you for working on this, and hopefully, it'll be something that many clubs will employ for the benefit of you know getting better data. Because if you want to improve the quality of the players, you need to have the data to show them as well, and see which areas of the game they need to improve on. And are there any examples of teams you've worked with where you can, bit of patting yourself on the back today to say, here's an example of something they've used it for X amount of time, and these are the type of results that you've achieved that you could say that it's really proof of concept that it really made an impact on one of your customers, for example?
Yeah, of course. So it was one of the first one we had, and it was a huge success for us. It was the last Canada Games, and we actually did that tournament. We provided live data to the Quebec team. It was coached by one of your previous guests, Alex Salvoni, and we decided to do the live data because they were playing 4 or 5 games in a week. So we
Okay.
didn't have a lot of time to actually, maybe they played Monday, Tuesday, the Wednesday they had off, and then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So they needed the live data to take good decisions during the game. So on that matter, we really helped providing all the metrics and all the data to make sure that they were making the right subs, using the right
Okay.
players at the right moment. And just because the games were so tight, I know for a fact, just because we met with, for instance, the Alberta coaches, and they told us, well, they had a competitive advantage just because they had access to that data and they could
Yeah.
see in live what was not working on in really tight games. Like the last 2 or 3 games were really tight, and they could see
Okay.
at halftime, okay, this is where we were losing the ball. This is where this player was not performing as well as we expected him to. So let's change him. So I don't want to provide any names, but
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No,
it
that's
really
fine.
made
Yeah.
it really made a difference in a sense of, okay, you know what, we're seeing something. The staff, here's the data. Let's make a decision based on the both. So on our eyes and also on what the data provided us. So that's one of them. Um, Listen, I have a few that it saves a lot of time for them. Whether it's CF Montreal that use it for their academy since we launched 3 years ago, whether it's national teams that uses it abroad for like World Cup qualifiers. Um, we have we have teams now that use it for, just to provide feedback. So
Yeah.
whether it's an impact directly on the result of the game, that's a great thing. But for me, I think if you put in place um, just the habit of use the data, use the video week in week out, the consequence of it will come.
Yeah.
The result for me is just a consequence of whether you put in place some good work ethics and um, some great habits, whether it's on the field, outside the field. So this is more outside the field because you want your players to be engaged on the app and be engaged with their educational part of the game. So yeah, I think we have a few great, um, let's say, use case that can back up what we did, and now players cannot hide anymore. So
Yeah.
one another great example was actually coming out of that Canada games. We had College Antique who were using also with the live mode, and one of the best players of the tournament was also playing for College Antique, and the coach back then was François Bourget, and he's now with FC Lorient. And I remember it was the first game of their season with College Antique, and he took out one of his best player who came out of the tournament of the Canada Games, and he really did great. And the player was furious. I remember because I went to watch that game, and he did
Okay.
not understand why he was subbed. And for me, it was clear because I know what I was looking for. And I
Yeah.
went
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
app, and it was like, I think he touched the ball 15 times, and 13 times he tried to dribble. And just because he was covering a lot of space, but he ended up losing the ball like 13 times out of
But
15.
okay.
So Francois saw that and he was like, okay, he's not having a good game. So he decided to sub him off, and the player came after the game, and he wanted to understand why he was subbed out, and he just showed him the data. He's like, well, you did not perform as well as you should do, and that's it. That was the end of the conversation. The player was able to like come in the next game and not have that in his mind of like, oh, maybe the coach
Right.
doesn't like me, maybe the coach was not right to
Yeah.
sub me. So it removes also that friction, so
Yeah.
everyone is on the same page, and everything is clear. So when you see the image, the tape usually don't lie, but you need to
No.
have access to it. So
Yeah. So earlier you mentioned the process where a video after the match is sent to you, It takes an hour or two of processing, and then you get all this data. Now you mentioned something new where you're analyzing live as the match is going on. I'm assuming obviously it's a much quicker process because you're giving the data like by halftime, the coaches have something to work with. How does that work differently than what you explained earlier about analyzing after the match? I'm assuming it's a smaller set of data and certain things you focus on particular to get the results that quickly to the coaches.
So the only thing that's different is, and no, it's not only at halftime. Um, the maximum delay is 3 minutes with the game. So let's say you're at minute
Oh
20.
wow, okay.
Yeah, the analysis will be at least at minute 17. And then concerning the process, the only difference is that we need a live feed of the game. So at Canada Games, the games were broadcast on TV, so we had access to the live video,
Okay.
and you get the data live, and the sequencing of the videos you get them 2 or 3 hours after the game. So that's the only difference, I would say.
Okay. Ah, so it is super fast to do it live like that, and even not have to wait at halftime. That's pretty cool. So now, in terms of the evolution, where do you see sports AI going? Like in 3, 5 years from now, what are you guys working on to further enhance your product?
So what we showed is actually data. So it's data points that is mostly focused on the technical and tactical part of the game. We're working on some computer vision algorithms right now to actually provide physical data. So, for example, the heat maps of the player. You want to see the distance that is covered by a player in concerning like where does he run, how quickly does he run in specific spaces, how much field does he cover? Like, let's say you have a wing back and you want to see if he overlaps a lot, if he gets offensively a lot. So all these physical data we're working on to get them without the need of a GPS that is worn by players. So this
Okay.
is one part of the game that is really essential for understanding, because in general, on a 90 minutes game, a player will touch max the ball 3 minutes. So you need to know what he's doing when he doesn't have the ball.
Yeah.
So this is
Yeah.
one of the big focus that we want to have in the next 3 and 5 years, and try to get the data as much as possible, like the quicker possible after the game if it's not on the live. So as I mentioned, right now 24 36 hours. We're trying to lower that amount into the least. So obviously, if it's live, then it's okay. But for the people who cannot afford or don't need the live, to at least get it in the least amount of time.
Awesome. So, for anyone listening that would be interested to learn more about this technology or reach out to you, if you don't mind, share how they can contact you and where it is on social media or on your website. Go ahead.
Yeah, so website is one of our first entry points, sportsai.ca. You have all the info, you have all the promotional video to see how everything works. If you want a demo, just contact us on our website. I'll be more than
Okay.
happy, either with me or one of my team members, to actually take the time, show you a demo, and see how we could help your team. Social media, we're mostly on Instagram, LinkedIn. LinkedIn,
Okay.
it's Sports AI, and Instagram, Sports AI Football. We
Awesome.
usually show what we can do, and um, we actually give some cool videos of sequences that were detected by our AI. So whether it was nice goals, tactical analysis of games are also posted sometimes on the Instagram page. So yep, the three main media points is sportsai.ca for the website, LinkedIn page is Sports AI, and Instagram Sports AI Football.
Awesome. So let's move on to two big tournaments that are going on at the moment. Just wanted to pick your brain on your thoughts so far. So let's start with the Euros. The group stage has been finalized. Name me one team that surprised you so far and one that's been a disappointment.
Well, surprised me, I would say Austria. Honestly,
Yeah,
it's been
I didn't have them winning that group. I'll tell you that. I had them last. I'm embarrassed to say.
Yeah, honestly, Austria has been tremendously great. I
Yeah,
can't wait to see what they're gonna do. Uh, doing great at the group stage is one thing. We saw it in the last Euro with Portugal, who did not perform, coming out
yeah,
as the best third and then just winning the tournament. Um, I see the tournament in two phases. Like the group phase, it's one thing, but then it's do or die in the when you start the last 16. So we'll see.
yeah.
Disappointment. I don't want to say that you know.
Or
Uh,
underwhelming, let's say, the
no,
performance.
honestly,
Lower than
Belgium
your
is a
expect.
yeah.
Yeah,
Belgium is a disappointment. I think I expect more from that team. Honestly, it's just great talents and not being able um, to compete. As simple as that. I don't want to say England. Um, I was just talking with few friends, and I was saying maybe if they had like Zidane or someone like that to coach them,
yeah,
or Marcello Lippi, I think that would be one of the greatest teams we would have seen in the Euro. Um, one good side is definitely Spain and Germany. They performed well. I can't wait to see in the last 16. And I was quite happy to see the comeback of Italy with the last game. So
yeah. That was a
great
nice goal.
surprises. I mean, yeah, great surprises. I can't wait to see. Now you have two groups. You have one with like Germany, France, Netherlands, I think, and so you have like big nations that are not going to make it to the final, and the other side you have Italy, Switzerland, like a much easier path to the final. I don't know what you think of that, but
Yeah, you're
yeah, I
right.
can't
If
wait
you
to
look
see.
at it in terms of the caliber of the teams historically speaking, you're right. On Italy's bracket, they're avoiding France, Portugal, Germany, and Spain. So, but if things go as planned, then you figure England and Italy are going to be the favorites to advance. They're going to face each other in the quarterfinals. So it'll be a rematch of the final of the 3 years ago when Italy won. But I don't think they're going to repeat as champions. I'm not really confident with the Italian team. They're like we got so lucky at the end, and even the other matches they played okay. I don't find they have enough talent. Like now you're gonna see that teams that have the talent, it's really gonna show. So I think some of the teams like England and France that have played so right now you're gonna see they still didn't really crank it up, and I expect them really to do well. So we'll see what happens. Now let's move on to Canada. They lost to Argentina in the opener of the Copa America, but then they had a nice win over Peru, a well-deserved win in my opinion, even though we suffered at the end to hang on to that 1-0 lead. What do you think of Canada so far from what you've seen in Copa America?
Honestly, for the first time playing in the Copa America, I'm really proud of them. We don't realize how hard it is to play in Copa America.
Hmm.
Like I would love for a European top team to come and play Copa America. It's much harder. You have the heat, you have the style of play. Teams get in your head.
Yeah.
It's really a mental game more than anything. Like we've seen it. I mean, the refs don't get on your side most of the time. Like for me, just the headbutt on Johnston, that's a straight red, and you don't get it.
Yeah.
And then the one that was actually a red. Like I don't think we've seen a tackle like that in Euro so far. Like
Yeah.
it's really a mental game, and you see it in Copa America, you can see it in the African Cup of Nations. Just it's way harder to play just because the environment is so hostile.
Yeah.
So just for Canada to go there and to actually compete, for me, it's just great performance. I mean, you're playing Argentina. I didn't expect them. Like for me,
Yeah.
the score 2-0 is well deserved. They played well. The first game in that tournament, honestly, for me, can't ask anything more from the guys. And then against Peru to actually get Jonathan David to score, I really hope it's going to open up more goals for him in that
Yeah.
tournament, and for Jesse March to come play Netherlands and to play um, like top European nations for his first games, and then to go into Copa America, he's done a great job.
Yeah.
Honestly, you cannot expect more from that team right now than that. It's honestly like it's great. We're seeing the Canadian team at a level that we have never seen them before. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm really happy to see Davis back at his left back position. We have players in place that play in the top league. Ismail Kone has, if it's not official, he's going to be going to Marseille in the next few days. So, I mean, we have, it's an unseen. Like for me,
Yeah.
we had Atiba before that was honestly one of my favorite players who was playing in Turkey. But now you have top players playing in top teams in Europe, and they're competing against like top teams in Copa America. So no, honestly, it's great, and it leaves great hopes for the next World Cup that is going to be in Canada, USA, and Mexico.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's hope we get a result with Chile. I'd really like to see Canada advance to the next round. That would be awesome. So, Tariq, before I let you go, a couple of quick fire questions. Do you have a favorite club team that you
Yes,
follow?
Real Madrid, Real
Real
Madrid,
Madrid.
Real
Nice.
Madrid in Spain, and Juventus in Italy.
Very nice. And when it comes to the World Cup, is there, other than Canada, is there another? I'm assuming from your family origin, you support Morocco.
Yeah, honestly, Morocco has always been in my heart. My parents
Yeah,
are from there, and
makes
most of
sense.
my
Yeah,
family is still in Morocco. Um, but just because I grew up in Canada, I played for the Canadian national team at a younger age. It's always I support both.
yeah,
Um, it's the first time I had the chance to actually support both the last World Cup, and they were in the
yeah,
same group.
yeah,
So it was kind of a weird feeling. But Morocco went to the semifinal. They broke some records, so I was really happy to live that as a Moroccan. But hopefully Canada will do the same next World Cup. But
yeah,
honestly, it's great to have both countries in a World Cup. But yeah, definitely two of my favorites. If they are participating, if not, I really love Brazil. It's just the way they play has been fantastic in the last.
yeah,
I grew up watching Ronaldo, Ronaldinho. Um, Hopefully, we get to see some good talents in the next few years. I think we lost that a
yeah,
bit, but yeah, I would say these three are my favorites.
yeah. Nice. And when you were growing up, who was your favorite player?
Oh, Zidane,
Zidane. Nice.
Zidane. Yeah, for me, was watching him a bit at Juventus, and to see how he changed dimension when he was coached by Marcello Lippi, and then going to Madrid. He wasn't like Messi, Ronaldo. It's like not only they're great
Yeah,
players, they also had great stats. But what really, um, for me, made him another kind of player, Zidane, was he was always there in the big games, always.
yeah,
Whether he was tired, whether he was not doing so well the whole season, like for me, like the 2006 World Cup just resumed how mentally strong he was.
yeah,
Like to come back and to play at 34 years old and to actually compete at that level, like the game against Brazil, for me, it's like something else. Messi and Ronaldo are great, but for me, Zidane has that leadership that you don't see as much today. He's able to, and Macho Olipi said it, like you can put really average players with him, he's gonna
Yeah,
bring them up at another level.
yeah,
So that for me was incredible, and technically was just great to watch.
yeah. No, we were spoiled too to have him in Serie A, which is a league I follow religiously, as you can see in my background. uh, Two last questions before I let you go. A stadium that you saw a match live that was very memorable for you.
Okay, so I don't think most people would maybe recognize it was in Morocco. It was the
Hmm.
last year's Champions League final. It was Wydad of Casablanca against El Ahly. It was maybe the best team in Africa. It's an Egyptian team that has like the same amount of money as like Madrid or top European teams, and it
Okay.
was 90,000 people.
Oh
Honestly,
wow, that's
yeah,
crazy.
honestly, I did not think I was coming out of that game alive. It was just insane. Everybody was standing up. They told me, okay, you have to come. The game was at 7 in the evening. They told me you should be there by 11 in the morning to get in the stadium. I couldn't believe it. So I
How
went there
many
maybe
hours?
three. I went
That's
3 hours before the game,
yeah.
and I barely made it to the kickoff. And people were already gathered. Like no one would respect the seats, so you didn't have a seat assigned. It was I was
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the stairs. Like so many people got in without tickets, and it was just honestly one of the craziest atmosphere
wow.
I witnessed. And yeah, honestly, in Africa, it's something else. It's the same kind of atmosphere you would get in Turkey and Greece or in
Yeah,
Argentina with like Boca Juniors. So we see it on video, but like to witness that, it was just great.
yeah. And is there a stadium you haven't been to yet that you would like to go watch a game there one day?
So I visited the Santiago Bernabeu, but it wasn't during a game, and I would love to actually see that or Juventus. I actually there's a lot like Dortmund, some few in Greece and Turkey. I would obviously love to see these atmospheres. You know, we tend to forget how just because in Canada we don't have stadiums that can um, get as much people, but you have stadiums like Camp Nou. It's like 100,000 or something like that. So imagine like a
Yeah,
Champions League final in the Camp Nou where it's like 100,000 people gathered and they're just focused on one event for an hour and a half. So it's just crazy. So there's a lot,
yeah.
but Bernabeu is definitely the top of my list.
Yeah, so hopefully anyone watching has connections to Real Madrid. You could maybe fly to Madrid, give a demo of your nice AI program. Maybe Real Madrid might use it one day, and they'll make you go watch a game, and you could show them a live demo. That would
Hopefully.
be awesome. Yeah. Well, anyway, Tariq, thank you so much for coming on the show. I wish you best of luck with your new venture. Uh, I hope people watching it will share with their clubs and get in contact with you because I do believe it's an amazing tool. And like you said earlier, it's not only for the professional clubs, even at a lower age group, and doesn't have to be professional, it could be semi-pro, or even at our youth levels where it's just amateur soccer. It's a great tool to help the players and the coaches. So don't forget, and I'm going to put the link in the YouTube description. But again, check out Sports AI, and Tariq will be more than happy to give you a demo. So thanks again, Tariq, and best of luck with your Sports AI project.
Thank you, Marcel.
All right, so I'm just going to put an ending video. So just stay in the background, please.